Dave has driven his mother to a parts store to get her some maintenance. While he's inside, she's taking a nap. One thing she doesn't need is bearings. I've seen high-priced fidget spinners that didn't go on that long.
We buy 5 cars, yes?
You heard that guy say he's buying 5 cars. He'll end up in Mexico with 6 cars. Dave returns to find he has no car.
Manzini, you think? Someone called?
He's been hanging around all morning trying to offer Dave more and more money for the car.
All right, Manzini, this is the last straw. What did you do with her? Manzini, what did you do with her? Where is she?
Egads, he's mad. What in blue blazes are you blabbering about now? Where's who?
Come on. Where is she? My porter's missing, and you
Missing? My porter's missing? Oh, how could you be so careless?
You know, I enjoyed the last 2 episodes without him. I liked Avery Schreiber. When he teamed up with Jack Burns, he could always make me laugh. He even came to my junior high school and did a stand-up show once. This character isn't funny. He's a waste of good talent. They go to the police station together and give a tag team report of what the car looks like and all that. Dave was worried about what Barbara's going to say.
Yay! With the insurance money, we can buy a station wagon.
It may require therapy, but she'll suffer through somehow.
A station wagon?
Better than an old jalopy, Dad.
That car is not an old jalopy.
What kind of a jalopy is it, Daddy?
It's a dignified jalopy. Why, she doesn't look a day over here.
Where am I?
Oye, pero este carro está mal.
Este carro nunca lo había visto yo. Este carro no tiene que ver nada con nosotros. No, señor, este es tú sabrás.
No, tú lo compraste.
I thought it usually required a lot more alcohol than that to wake up in Mexico. Nobody, from the cops that Dave and Manzini talked to these guys, seems to have any idea what a classic car is or how valuable they could be, especially in pristine condition like that. The car is close to 40 years old. It's like having a mint condition car from 1971 today. And given that there are people like Manzini all over the place, I find it hard to believe somebody connected with this story doesn't recognize the car for what it is. Not counting the old, dignified lady inside it.
You know what I think? I think this is a hot car.
I think so, too.
We must get rid of this hot car quick, or we be in hot water quick.
I think so, too.
Why you always have to think what I think?
I'm not always think what you think. Yesterday, I think about my wife.
See, that's what I mean. Why you must always think what I think.
You may have noticed that we don't have a laugh track today. I'm not sure it would have helped.
Alto. Alto.
You made me miss. Why you tell me to hold?
I didn't tell you to hold.
And while we're on the subject, how did you hear it over that thing?
Then why you say alto?
I didn't say alto.
Then who say alto?
I say alto.
You keep out of this. Now let's get this straight.
Get into the car, pronto. Presto, aprisa, rapidamente.
If they had a peso for every time a car pulled that gag on them, they could retire in luxury. She says, drive me to the border and get a move on. Wouldn't you? Now, here's a little bit of a continuity issue. When she doesn't want to go where Dave wants to, she can take over the wheel and the throttle and all the rest and control herself. But we'll see all through the rest of this episode that if there's not someone in the driver's seat, she can't seem to do anything. Why? If she can operate the wheel and everything else, what difference does a butt in the seat make?
Now raise your right hand. Try to touch your nose with your forefinger. Well, keep trying.
Doogie Howser's dad tells Barbara what he needs is a long rest. Barbara says no, what he needs is another old car to tinker with. She'll find one, a 1931 Porter. Show it to him, he says it's not the same thing, but you're wonderful for trying. Move on to something else and never mention it again. You know that old expression that politics makes strange bedfellows? Apparently, so do stolen cars.
Any news, Dave?
No, not a word, Bernard.
Courage, Dave, courage.
Thanks, Bernard.
Find it, Dave, and I'll up my price to $27.50.
Bernard!
Forgive me. That was Captain Manzini talking, not Bernard.
Call him Bernie and see what happens just for fun. These two have become pals, or at least co-commiserators. In Mexico, Mother is still rolling along without a driver, and somehow she ended up in the province of El Stereotype.
La cucaracha, la cucaracha. Da 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 da. That is a nice car, Ramon. It would be a sin to permit such a pretty car to go without a driver.
Young Pancho there will put Ramon in the back seat, hop into Mother, and take off. Mother won't say a word. I don't know why. At the very least, she could teach him the next line to La Cucaracha. For the record, it's Ya no puede caminar, which means she can't walk. Yeah, nobody knows where or how the song originated. There are roughly a zillion versions with alternate words, and if you invent one, it's probably as good as anyone else's. The version I learned went on to say, because she doesn't have, because she lacks, cigars to smoke. I wasn't asking back then, and I'm not asking now. Maybe it's just as well Pancho only knows the first line.
Pancho,
See?
you know who I am?
See, you are a nice car.
Merci. Oh, I mean gracias. Does it not surprise you that a car can talk?
A car that can not only talk, but can make fun of your accent. Is that really necessary?
You will do me a favor, Pancho?
See?
I want you to drive me to the border so I can get to my house.
Oh no, senora. I will drive you to my village and tell everybody I got a talking car. Ole!
What makes you think she'll talk for them? She just told you you're the only person in the whole country she talks to.
Ole my eye.
Alto, alto!
I alto.
Bueno, I drive you to the border.
I still don't follow what she can do and what she can't do and why she needs a driver.
But tell me something, talking car.
Si, Pancho.
You're an American car, no?
I'm an American car, si?
Then how come you talk English with a Spanish accent?
Thank you, Pancho. I know that was supposed to be a gag, but it came off as ridiculing Pancho's accent. Again, not funny. Meanwhile, Dave gets word that someone found his car, but that may not be a good thing.
What is it? This here piece of tin was a 1928 Porter.
How do you know?
When I press a car, I know what I'm pressing.
What do you mean?
Well, all other cars go. But a Porter goes.
You know, in a cartoon, that probably would have been funny. I guess now the only question is, can she still talk? Where's the radio?
Looks like it, too.
It does.
Yes, but it isn't.
Are you sure?
Positive. This hunk of tin is a 1926 Kitzel.
That means our man is wrong. There are two kinds of cars that go instead of. Pancho has reached the border and it's time to say goodbye to the talking car.
Now hook my front bumper onto the rear of this truck. This is as far as we go.
Okay. Okay, senora?
Okay, senor.
Come on, Ramon. You got a good rest in a fine American car. No other girl has such an honor.
I suppose it makes sense to get across that way. Nobody's likely to question a big truck that's towing a car, whereas a car going through by itself might raise a few eyebrows, and the idea that Ramon could drive it across just seems silly. Instead, Pancho climbed onto Ramon and started for home, but he'd driven a little too far into the border space and Mexican authorities deported him to San Diego. Ramon was hailed as a hero for catching him. We'll see Mother hitch a ride with at least 2 different trucks, but we won't see how she switches from one to the other. We won't find out how she did that either. It's time to meet another colorful character so she can enlist help getting home.
There's no place like home.
At least he's not singing How Dry I Am. She says, "Hey, good looking, any chance you could drive me home?"
Now, you just tell me just exactly where you live, and I'll be very happy to drive you home.
The address is on the steering wheel.
Let's see. You live on change oil every 2,000 miles.
Want to take any bets on how long it'll take your GPS to find that? He introduces himself as Mr. Abernathy.
It's just between you and me. I mean, no condition to drive.
You're in no condition to walk.
Then he probably shouldn't be trying to do either one. Let him curl up on your nice soft seat and sleep it off.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abernathy.
It was a pleasure.
You're a gentleman, Mr. Abernathy.
And you are a lady, Mrs. Carr.
Mr. Abernathy has a crush on this lady Carr, who's now imitating his drunken slur the same way she made fun of Pancho's Mexican accent. Good thing he's too drunk to notice.
PZR317. I'll give you a ring sometime.
Yes, sweetie, you do that.
I want to see what happens when he calls that number. Mother starts honking the horn, and she and Dave have a nice reunion.
You look just terrible, Mom. Where have you been? You're all dirty. Mom, say something. Are you all right?
Let me get some sleep.
You sure you want to do that? Falling asleep was what got you into this mess in the first place.
Well, now that the car's back, let's get back to where we were, too. I'll put it to you straight. I mean to own this car.
Bernard.
Don't Bernard me. Business is business.
Manzini is another of those characters who really can't grow beyond a certain point, or he ceases to be a useful character. We saw the same thing with Dr. Smith on Lost in Space. It leaves me wondering why writers paint themselves into a corner like that. It was the same with Frank Burns on MASH. The character was irredeemable, and to keep being the character, that couldn't change. It took the writers a while to realize that, and the entire cast of the show said Larry Linville, who played Frank, had the hardest job of any of them trying to keep the character interesting. When they finally wrote Frank out, they replaced him with a much more malleable individual in the form of Charles Emerson Winchester III. Pompous, entitled, angry at being there, he had room to grow, learn to make the most of his surroundings, and even learn to appreciate many of his peers. Had they done something like that with Frank from the very start, the substitution might not have been necessary. It's the same here. Manzini is an absolute. He wants the car and will stop at nothing to get it, albeit legally. We won't see him being satisfied with something else at some point. We won't see him and Dave team up to find him a 1928 of his own. We won't see him go anywhere. He'll remain static, and he's already gotten boring. Had they stayed friends after this and taken things in that kind of direction, with the tension of being good friends but Manzini still covets that car, you could do a lot with that and maybe even make the show funny. But as we see so often in these TV fails, somebody took the easy road. As a result, this is consistently rated one of the top 10 worst shows ever made. There is one more thing we need to wrap up.
Well, Mother, I guess everything's back to normal now, huh?
Not quite. Don't ever park me on an incline again without setting my brake. And be sure you turn my wheels into the curb.
Mom.
I see. She can drive herself where she wants to give him a spanking, but otherwise she has to have somebody at the wheel. That makes perfect sense.